Tomorrow is the first Valentine's Day in 5 years that I'm spending on my own. And I've never been more excited. And I think the reason is that this year I have so much love for myself. And I'm so happy that I finally can direct it inwards. All of my previous Valentine's Days were focused on giving my love to my significant other so much that I couldn't focus on what I needed. However, now, all I want to do is just bathe in all of that love that I've nurtured for myself over these past 4 months. And I want to share all of my love with you because I don't know why. I was going back from having classes today and I just felt this very deep, unconditional love within me. It made me melt in some kind of way. I was listening to sad love songs that are supposed to be helping you go through losing someone. But I was listening to those songs and I was imagining myself as that character that the lyrics were dedicated to. Not the person who was longing for love, but the person who was actively valued and appreciated. And it felt like I was giving that love to myself while listening to those lyrics. So I have a plan for tomorrow. And I don't usually do solo dates, but this is what I really need this year to celebrate my achievements. It really does feel like every step that I take is directed at improving my mental health, feeling better, and healing from those very intense wounds from the past. And although I can't say that I'm fully healed, there's obviously still a lot to work on. I've never felt as close to actually feeling like myself and being so grateful for the life I have, for the opportunities that I've curated, for all the people in my life. It just feels like there's this stability for the first time, which comes from intention in every single move that I do for myself. So I'm gonna go on a solo date. I have plans for the evening, but in the afternoon, I wanna go to a cafe. I wanna have a warm drink and buy myself flowers. I don't remember if I've ever done that before, but tomorrow feels like a really special day to do that. And I know exactly what I'm gonna order. I know exactly what flowers I'll buy for myself because I've learned so many things about me recently that can compare probably to the rest of my life before that. And if you're single for this Valentine's Day, I would heavily recommend using this day as an opportunity to get more aligned with yourself. You deserve all the love in the world. And this time, maybe don't perceive this day as a sad and lonely day, but instead as an opportunity to feel comfortable on your own. And since this video is about love and Valentines, I would like to share 5 things that I started doing on my healing journey that have helped me tremendously with falling in love with myself. And these 5 things have probably improved the quality of my life better than any other thing before. They all require a little bit of patience and effort, but once you start doing them, you will discover this new layer of very intimate, unconditional love that you probably tried in the past to search in other people. But the biggest secret is it all is within you already. So the thing I want to start with is identifying when I need love and giving it to myself. As somebody who grew up with a lot of abandonment issues and an anxious attachment style, my way of feeling comfort and feeling love was always through other people. And now that I'm single and I don't have anyone to give this love to me in a romantic way, my brain still fantasizes about having this imaginary partner who will one day give it to me. And it sounds weird. It's the people from the past that I don't even talk to anymore who keep reappearing in my mind when I need closeness. And I've noticed that because at a certain point it starts getting annoying. I just became really aware of that, but I didn't link it to needing closeness. I just thought that I was stuck on people from the past because I needed them to survive. It's a habit that a person with a lot of relationship trauma develops as a form of self-regulation. And once you start noticing that pattern, you can finally let go of people that have no significance in your life anymore. Because when you notice that behavior, when you notice that thought, what you actually need is more closeness and alignment within yourself. And when you start doing that, it takes a lot of pressure off your nervous system. So here's an example of my pattern and how I learned to recalibrate my thoughts. I'm on my own and I begin to think about someone, and I start to miss that feeling of love and closeness that I used to get from another person. Then I pause for a second, and instead of directing my attention towards the person, I start thinking about the feeling. I want love, I want connection, I want comfort. And then I start thinking about how I can give it to myself at the moment. And this might sound like a weird idea if you've never tried it before, but hugging yourself in moments like those is the best thing you could do. I love accompanying hugging myself with some words of affirmation. I usually sit like this, and then I tell me that I'm okay, that I have myself, and that I'm here and I will never go away. And doing this over and over again really starts to heal something very deep inside of you after some time. Because as someone who learns to neglect myself throughout my life and not think about my needs, constantly trying to control people around me and hoping that they won't leave, promising myself that I will stay here and I will stay here as long as it takes for me to feel better and to feel less lonely with my own company does magic to my brain. So please hug yourself more and tell yourself positive things. Replacing negative talk with positive affirmations is the best thing you can do for your nervous system. And now you can self-regulate most of the time. Now you actually believe in yourself. Now you actually trust your love for yourself. I stay with me every single time I feel sadness or discomfort because I know that it's something I didn't learn to do when I was younger. And now I have to show up for me every single day to gain that trust in my ability to never leave me again. Now, the second thing I started to do to fall in love with myself more and more is saying no to things that I would usually say yes to and setting boundaries. This is a crucial point in my life because throughout all the 20 years I've lived on this planet, I could never do that. And in my case, I guess I had a lot of negative consequences from years of not setting boundaries with people that I've kind of learned that it's necessary to do so. With setting boundaries also comes an understanding that people most likely don't want to hurt you, but sometimes they might do certain things that still make you uncomfortable. It's your responsibility to communicate how that made you feel, and if something's unacceptable to you, to ask to stop that behavior. I feel like I got really good at it in the past couple weeks, and I haven't had a single negative response. Talking about what you need and what behavior you disapprove actually creates this feeling of closeness in you. If you do get a negative response from someone though, that is a clear sign that you need to walk away from that situation. It's kind of, I see now boundaries as not something that could potentially trigger my abandonment trauma if people don't agree with something that I propose, but more of a filter that shows me which people I will be comfortable with long term and which ones I would not keep close to me. Now, the third thing is an opposite of that. I started saying yes to things that I would usually say no to. And that involves all areas of my life. I started hanging out with people whom I thought I didn't deserve. I planted that seed of doubt in my brain that kind of started questioning my perception of certain people in my life. There were a lot of people in my school that I found so amazing, that I wanted to be around with, that I thought actually had a potential to be right people for me. But then I would instantly shut it down because I thought that they were too cool to hang out with me, or I wasn't doing enough to be interesting enough for them. However, since the start of the semester, I decided to start taking more initiative in inviting people to hang out that I usually would be too afraid to reach out to. And to be fair, I don't think I got a single no. And that is really surprising to me because A couple months ago, I thought that those people would most certainly not spend time with me. I feel like I finally began to function as a person who is comfortable being alone, but they also know that they can hang out with people whenever they want to because they've tested their assumptions of people surrounding them and they got a positive response. That is very healing, and it certainly developed my confidence because now I feel like if somebody doesn't want to hang out with me, that is not my problem because I have so much proof of people finding me interesting, finding me attractive, and finding me genuinely a good person to hang out with. Now, the fourth thing that I started doing was I stopped trying to prove myself to people who already have a negative outlook on me. Some time ago, I thought that if I didn't prove myself to some people, my life was purposeless. And the reason why I thought this way was because I desperately needed that confirmation that I was worthy of love. And once I started practicing all the things I've mentioned before, this wish kind of disappeared very quickly. I've realized that I can spend my time with people that I genuinely want to spend time with, set boundaries with them, strengthening my trust in me and other people around me, that I decided for myself that I'm no longer going to put energy in connections that are not reciprocated and with people who already have judgment towards me. And one last thing that I started doing that made me fall in love with myself more is identifying when I need to spend some time on my own. Before I started my healing journey, being alone was not an option for me because I was constantly trying to run away from the problems that I had to face on my own. And of course, it's very difficult at first, but with every single night I chose to spend on my own instead of instantly reaching out to my friends to hang out with them, I began to develop this very deep understanding of me, something that I lacked for a very long time. I avoided myself so much to the point when I didn't even know who I was. And this is very sad to realize, especially since the issues that I had only seemed intimidating at first and actually didn't take too much time to resolve. All I needed was just some time connecting with myself and understanding why I behaved in the ways that I did. So now I approach my get-togethers with friends as a very intentional action. Before agreeing to anything or initiating a hangout, I spend some time with myself and ask me whether it's something that I want to do to escape how I'm feeling at one moment, or because I genuinely want to spend some time with my friends and share moments of joy with them. It's a very challenging thing to do for someone who's not used to connecting with their feelings and kind of sitting with them, but this step works really well with all the actions that I mentioned before. If you approach all of your actions as intentional and give yourself that space to evaluate the reason why you're actually making certain choices, you will obtain this sort of like parenting attitude towards yourself, where you realize that everything you do has to meet a certain standard for yourself and has to satisfy a certain need within yourself. And if it comes to two opposing needs of feeling validated by friends or staying alone and being validated by yourself, because that's actually what you need to work on, you have to choose something that will make you grow more and make you stronger as a person. I'm not entirely sure if I explained it clearly for people, but this is sort of my strategy that I've built to make sure that every step I take is aimed towards my healing, my well-being, and comes from the place of genuine, unconditional love. These are my 5 things that made me fall in love more with myself. However, I just want to add that starting a YouTube channel and making these videos inspired me so much and made me realize how contagious healing is and how important it is to share your journey with other people so we can all start to feel more love towards each other. And I can't wait for what's coming next for me. I can't imagine how much I can still help other people around me. And I hope you can take something from me to make your Valentine's Day a little bit better, regardless of you having a partner or not. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I'll see you in the next one.